Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the Minute Channel. It kind of feels odd because I have been making videos, I've been making content on this channel for roughly about 3 years already. And lately, although I've been covering news and discussions pertaining to like 25th anniversary stuff and everything, I haven't really done a Persona discussion video in a quite a bit of time. Honestly, with everything going on with the everything has just been so much focused on other stuff and everything, and I haven't actually been doing much with Persona lately. Honestly, it's kind of dry on that sense. I've been playing a lot of Souls games lately, and I could make videos on Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring and other Souls games that I've been playing for quite a while now. But that's not the point today, right? So I was browsing the internet and I saw an interesting article that I just feel like I should make a video on because it just felt wrong, to be honest. And well, the title of the video is I'm sorry, the title of the thing that I saw, which is already kind of disturbing, as well as the article itself, says Persona 6 should be a direct sequel to Persona 5. And here today I'm making the comment that I do not believe that should be the case, and I will explain why. So, if you've been a fan of Megaten, the series, or Persona in particular, you will know that although games can be sequels to other games, for example, Persona 1 and Persona 2 are directly tied to each other. In fact, you see Persona characters on from the first game in the second game. It isn't necessarily a sequel to it. Persona 2 is very much its own game with its own characters, its own cast, and Persona 2, the second part of the game, is also, although it's a sequel, it also has other characters, and it is very interesting how the dynamic between Persona 1 and Persona 2 work, but it's still very much their own games. You know, Persona 1 is Persona 1 and Persona 2 is Persona 2. No one considers Persona 2 to be a sequel of Persona 1 as like a direct continuation of the story or anything. Same thing with Persona 3 and Persona 4 and Persona 5, although they do have some Easter eggs, and they do, in fact, in Persona 4, for example, they go to the town of Persona 3. They do like a school trip, and you actually see characters from Persona 3 and Persona 4 and everything. And this always been an interesting aspect of it. And although they had done sequels to Persona games, like in the Persona Arena games or Persona Dancing, or in Persona 5 Strikers, they are not really considered mainline games, more of spin-off games, a continuation of that particular storyline if you're interested on, but leaving mainline alone as its own entity. That way, one of the reasons why they do this, which is very smart, is you can pick up any Shin Megami Tensei game, any Megaten game, any Persona game, and you can start from that game. I think that's one of the beauty of being a fan of the Megaten series. I think that's one of the things that I personally think is one of the things that works for the series as well, because there are over 30-40 games in the series, and people can pick up any game in the series and start from that game, as long as it's not a spin-off, of course. But even spin-off, like if you pick up, let's say, the Desu games, for example, which are not considered mainline games, you can still pick up the second game and then go back to play the first game. You can play the Raito games, and that's like its own series. You can pick up any game in the series and you're gonna have a good time. It's never gonna be you need to play 6 games to understand this game, you know. And that's why I actually don't want to play some of the JRPG series out there, Trails of Cold series, for example, because I heard a lot of good things about the series, but seeing that I have to play so many other games to kind of get everything, it's a scary thought. It's just something that I don't really have the time or patience or even will to do, because it's kind of like, oh man, I have to go through all these games. And I know, understand, you can pick up half the way through the different character swap and everything. It's still not something that I'm very willing to do, but it's also, I feel like that's something that works so well for the series. Every single Persona game, it's its own entity. Sure, it does have Easter eggs. Sure, it may showcase characters from previous games and everything, but at the end of the day, it's so minimal and it doesn't really affect the overall enjoyment of the game. Like, it's not as relevant in the plot to the point where, like, oh man, I have to go back and play Persona 1 now to understand everything that is going on in Persona 2. You don't really have to do that. Persona 2 itself is a wonderful game, and it just kind of have its own story without relying too much on Persona 1. Same with the other games. Now, I understand that Persona 5 is the most popular game in the series. Not my favorite game per se, but it's a game that I know a lot of people hold itself very dearly to their hearts. I know a lot of people consider this game to be a masterpiece. I know a lot of people like Persona 5 because of the characters and the cast and everything, but I do promise you 100%, every single cast of characters from the Persona series, it's very likable, very interesting. Has I think every game has its own tone, and that's one of the things that I think, which I don't want Persona 6 to be a sequel to any other game, is because relying on characters from the previous game or like storyline from the previous game will not allow Persona 6 to develop in its own game as having its own tone, its own color. And that's one of the things that I like about the Persona games is, again, every game feels insanely different from any other game. Like, you look at Persona 1 and then you look at Persona 3 and you're like, wow, well, this is the same series. Or look at Persona 3 and Persona 4. And, they were made on the same engine. They have the same character models, but they are insanely different on color, tone, style. Like, although they have the same gameplay and they do pretty much the same kind of stuff, they both feel insanely different in as far as like the character cast and what's going on in the story and everything. It's a very interesting dichotomy of like how they do this so well, and it works so well because they are individual games with their own systems and story and characters and everything. And I feel like that's one of the things that works really well for the series. I don't think that there's anything where, oh, we need to go and do this or do that or anything. I feel like the games very much work themselves because of how they are. And yeah, that's pretty much why I don't believe that this series needs a sequel to another game like Persona. I'm not to say that I don't want a sequel to Persona 5. I know a lot of people want a sequel to Persona 5, and I'll tell you a secret. Yeah, a secret. It's a crazy secret, but a sequel to Persona 5 already exists. It's called Persona 5 Strikers. It's a direct sequel to the game. It continues the storyline. It does what it does. Now, it may make people think, oh man, it's an action game. It's not a turn-based game. What's going on with that? Anyway, that's how sequels are sometimes. Spin-off games particularly. And we may get another one of these spin-off games with more story from Persona 5. But no, Persona 6 does not need to be a sequel to Persona 5. I don't want it to happen, and I think it will be a terrible idea, and it will really ruin the way they have built gameplay so far for like the next game and everything. In fact, I don't even believe that Persona 6 needs to rely on Persona 5 for success. I think that Atlus has shown that any game they make is gonna do good because the fan base is already big enough that even a game like Persona 5, which wasn't too beloved among fans, is still sold insanely well. So there's no doubt in my mind that the next game, Persona 6, following up the steps of Persona 5, is going to do good regardless of, but I do not believe that it needs to rely on Persona 5 to be a good game. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Do you want a sequel to Persona 5? Again, Persona 5 Strikers exist. But if you wanted another sequel to that, let me know in the comments down below. I've spoken about like having like a wrap-up or something like that. Like a game that captures all characters from the spin-off games so far and has them into like this massive fandom thief parade or something of like characters and everything, but that'll be a different discussion for a different day. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. But before we end this video, I want to thank all the members: Miko, Another Fox, Demicro, H2DK, King Narukami 45, Ida McNeil, and Rising Oblivion. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. I couldn't make these videos without your help.